the worst dressed bouncer you will ever see. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello humans, and thank you for joining me in another episode of the Gen X Gamer. Remember to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, smash the like button. Now, let's get ready for the show. On today's episode... Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Alright guys, the bouncer. You know, when it comes to my collection, there's only one word I can use, and that's eclectic. You know, and I was thinking about it today, why my collection is so diverse. And it's because of when I started playing games, when I started buying games, I would buy games mostly that were on sale. That were games that I could afford, right? And I would pick up things just by chance, just because they were cheap, right? That's a great example is the Saturn games that I have. But I did that with other consoles. I did it with the PS1. Did with the PS2, and that's the case for this particular game. When I saw this game, guys, oh my gosh, I thought it was the future of gaming, right? Even though the game had been out for a long time, to me, it was the first time I played it, you know, and it was the beard flex. Oh yeah. Anyway, to me, it was brand new, and it was something very cool. Because I love brawlers, you know, I'm a big Streets of Rage 2 fan, right? So whenever I get a brawler, especially in those days, I mean, I wasn't doing any JRPGs. I was just doing fighting games, shooting games, violence. The more violent the game, the better for me. That's the gaming mindset I had when I bought this game. And I bought this game, just the disc, at a Hollywood Video for like $350 or something like that. It was ridiculous. And I put it in because it said the bouncer. I didn't know the guy was going to look like this. But I got the game in great shape. I got it off of eBay all these years later. And guys, just thank you for joining me in this journey, you know, where I'm going back and I'm reclaiming all these games that I used to play back in the day. And that, you know, I traded off, I did other things with them, and now I'm getting back to them. You know, and that's really what I want to make my collection about, is keeping games that really mean something to me. So when I pick them up, you know, it's just not a bunch of clutter, it's just not a bunch of games that are lying around. They're games that I have a connection to for the most part, and I have to say that's the case for many of the games that I own. But anyway, without further ado, what I want to do is show you some gameplay, maybe a little bit of commentary, and then I'll put the first run through, the first section of the game, so you can see how the different characters play, and describe the game to you a little bit just before that. So if you just want to go straight to the gameplay, go to the end. If you don't care about the gameplay, just we're here to hear me ramble, just listen to the first part of the video. Anyway, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for, you know, for being on this journey with me. I really appreciate it. Alright guys, so let's talk about the bouncer. Well, I know this game was released like in 2000, but I really didn't get the game until like the end of 2002, I believe. And you know, like I said, it had been out for a while, and it was a flop from what I can remember. It wasn't well received after I looked at the reviews and what have you, and this is after I bought the game. I didn't think the game was that bad. Of course, it had it had things like no camera angles, right? You can't move the camera, you have to move around in order to change the camera angle. And basically it's a story of a girl getting kidnapped, and these three bouncers, supposedly bouncers, going to rescue her, but geez, man. What this guy is wearing is just the worst. But anyway, let's get into the game. I remember back in the day, this intro scene just seemed so eternal to me. I wanted to get right into the game and find out what it was about. I was kind of confused. Remember, I bought this game as a disc, just a disc that you would pick up from the bin at the video store. And when it started, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get? Did I get one of those RPGs? And back then, I really didn't like them. I wanted action games. I love fighting games. And when I found out it was a brawler, man, I was super stoked, And I didn't know at the time. I didn't know till after. Like, the game had been panned and it was horrible. I mean, there's, for example, there's no camera control, right? The camera moves wherever you're moving, and sometimes the angles are horrible and what have you. To me, that didn't matter. I mean, when I looked at the game, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best games I've ever seen, graphically, and it still holds up. I'm not saying that it's a great game or anything like that, but for the time, I think the graphics hold up very, very well. I mean, there's worse games that you can look at on the PS2. But more than anything, just like many Japanese games, I love the imagination that went into these. I mean, flying ninjas, right? There's this company that has private flying ninjas that crash through the roof of your house to kidnap people. You could just wait for people after work or something like that. No. We're going to go with missile ninjas ramming through your ceiling because you really need to get that particular person, right? And then there's cyber ninjas, and of course they're, running through the city. They're not using guns because, what fun is that, right? When you can do mano combat, right? And they stalk their prey in the city, and they pop all around. And to me, a lot of the enjoyment of these games nowadays is looking back and looking at the evolution of gaming. And even though this game is a Squaresoft game, you can see the influences it eventually had. And if you want to look at a particular one, look at what the guy's wearing. Does that remind you of anybody? If it doesn't, I'll give you a hint. Kingdom Hearts. You look at the clothing, it's the same, it's the same style, maybe not as gaudy in Kingdom Hearts, but it's the same type of, shorts and boots and what have you. You can even find it on the internet, the comparisons, This game came out in 2000, about 2000, but I got it in 2002. And even that, I think it was like the end of 2002. But, at first I looked at the story and I saw this guy with the horns and I got intrigued, and of course there's this girl going in, and then I looked at the other characters and just the main character, I was just like, man, this is the least machoist bouncer I have ever seen, right? But I'm gonna roll with it, I'm gonna roll with it. And it was so cool to be able to switch characters, and play the different characters, because to me, I like playing the tattooed guy the most. I mean, that was my favorite one to pick. But you could pick, the other two if you want to. And man, to be able to get this game after being out of my collection for so long, man, it's so cool, and I have the case now, and I have the manual, things that I never owned, and I got this for my birthday for myself. I could have gotten other things, more modern games. I could have spent $20 in a different way, but I'm glad I spent it this way on a mediocre game that I can tell you I really, really enjoy. Not because it's a great game, but because I have a connection to it. It takes me back in time. It reminds me of, those early years with my kiddos and struggling and, playing these games whenever I could, and, going off the bargain bins and whatever place I could find and trying to do the best with
that I could with what I had, you know, and to come back and find these games again and enjoy them again and make memories with them again, man. For a gamer, at least a gamer in my age, oh man, I wish you guys, when you get to be my age, go through the same things and reminisce, because they say, at least in Spanish, to remember is to live twice. Alright guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to leave the gameplay after the outro if you want to check out more of the game. But yeah, it's pretty standard, beat 'em up, and I love to beat 'em up. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Gen X Gamer. Remember to like and subscribe, click the notification bell, and remember, never be afraid to be happy. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
Who are they? They were from Mikado. You're awfully well informed. Let's go to Mikado. Whoa, hang on. I've got connections. Let me look into it first. I need you to check on something for me. Yeah, I need to get into Mikado fast. Look, I'm in a hurry. Yeah, thanks. Great. What time? Gotcha. We're taking off now. Thanks. I owe you one. There's a special train at the central station that's headed for Mikado.
When?
In half an hour. Let's go then. We don't have much time.
Looks like he's got a heart after all, especially when it comes to her.
No kidding. There's another one. Yeah. Hold the clutch.
I don't think I'm gonna let her sleep. Today's your lucky day, punks. What are Mikado Special Forces doing here? What is it? You recognize that Black Panther?
No. Let's get going. We're gonna miss the train. Yeah.
What's wrong?
Renegades.
Security is tight, as expected.
We're running out of time. And I guess we'll break through the front. Hey! What are you doing there? We're hitching a ride is what we're doing. Yeah.